Hey everybody, welcome to today's episode of Time to Draw with Mr. Shaw. Today we're going to be drawing one of my favorite literary characters from children's book. We're going to be drawing the Cat in the Hat from the book The Cat in the Hat, both written and illustrated by Theodore Geisel, also known to the world as Dr. Seuss, one of my all-time favorite book illustrators. So let's get started with the Cat in the Hat. I'm going to start with some simple shapes. We're going to do some tricks to make him look a lot more like Dr. Seuss's original illustrations. But if you get stuck, if I'm going too fast for you, feel free to pause the video. You can rewind it, you can slow it down, rewatch it as many times as you need to. But let's get started. You'll just need a piece of paper, something to draw with. I'm going to start with the general shape of the cat, starting with his head. Now, when I draw this first circle, now the Cat in the Hat doesn't actually have just a circle-shaped head. It's a combination of a couple of shapes. So I'm going to draw these really, really lightly to start with. So I'm going to start with just a circle shape. And inside of that circle, I'm going to draw an oval, kind of coming out from the side of that circle just a little bit. Now, this will be the initial shape I'll start to make the Cat in the Hat with. Now, I'm going to darken just these two lines. This curved line up here, where his forehead and his eye would be, and then this shape here. Now, as I'm darkening this curved shape, I'm actually going to bring it all the way up into the rest of the face, and I'm going to add a little curved line at the top of it, like a letter U. Now, if you have an eraser on your pencil, now would be a good time to erase those lighter shapes in there. And you can see that this is now kind of the shape of the cat's eye and forehead area and then his nose. So we're going to go ahead and draw a little black oval just in between this point and this little curved line, right in the middle there. And then we're going to draw two curved lines for his eyes. They look like two little letter U's with eyelashes coming off the bottom of them. And then we can draw the cat's eyebrows curved all the way up here. And sometimes I like to add just a couple of details to give my character that I'm drawing a little bit of life. This looks a little bit more like the cat now, so I think it's going to make the rest of my drawing a little bit easier. So underneath his mouth, I'm going to draw a curved line coming down just like this. Not all the way from the corner of his cheek, but right around here. I'm going to add another curved line inside of that and then color the space in between. That looks like the inside of the cat's mouth with his little tongue here, if you want to draw a little curved line on that. And then I'm going to draw a curved line coming from the bottom of his nose all the way around his mouth and stopping just next to his tongue. So now this looks pretty much like the Cat in the Hat's face, and now we can start sketching in the rest of his body in the shape of that wonderful hat that he's famous for wearing. I'm actually going to go down first, and I'm going to draw two long skinny lines next to each other to make the cat's neck. After that, I'm going to very lightly draw an oval shape. The Cat in the Hat has a nice long oval shaped body coming down kind of like this. Then I'm going to draw the cat's arms as two curved lines right next to each other. I'm going to draw one curved line curving just like that, like an upside down rainbow. And then I'm going to have almost the same line just under it coming all the way up like this. Now, I am working pretty lightly right now because when Dr. Seuss, when Theodore Geisel illustrated the Cat in the Hat, he actually added a lot of little lines to show texture. So I'm not going to darken this in just yet. What I do want to do now is I want to draw a little oval for the bottom of the cat's glove. And then I'm going to draw a curved shape coming up for his thumb. And then two bumps coming out like this. One, it almost looks like a pinky. He seems to be wearing like reverse mittens that have two big shapes. One for maybe the first couple of fingers, and then the other one just for his pinky. And then we have his thumb up here. Now his back arm, I'm actually going to curve down first with two lines right next to each other. And then I'm going to have it come up just a little bit. I'm going to curve that line up. Then I'm going to copy that oval shape for the bottom of the glove. But this time I'm going to want the cat to be kind of holding his tail, kind of pinching it with his pinky up in the air. So I'm going to draw the thumb and the pointer finger, and then I'm going to draw that pinky sticking up. So first I'm going to draw the thumb, a curved line coming out to the side, and then I'm going to draw kind of his pointer finger shape. And I'm going to curve that all the way back to his hand. And then I'll draw another little curve for his pinky sticking up. If you want to shade that in a little bit so it looks like it's behind the rest of the hand. And then I can actually start his tail right around here. I'm going to have the tip of his tail coming out from the hand like that. And then I'm going to have the rest of it coming down from his hand and sticking into his backside right here, where a cat's tail would normally come from. So I'm going to copy that curved line coming all the way around. And then I'm going to draw two oval shapes for the cat's feet. The cat's legs coming down from the bottom of his body. And then the cat just has kind of pointy, furry feet. So I'm just going to give him some little pointy feet with fur on the end. One going in this direction, and I'll have the other one kind of coming off in this direction, since I'm running out of room on my paper here. And I'm going to erase and erase. And then the cat also wears, up around his neck, a nice big bow tie. So I'm going to draw a circle where the knot of that bow would be. And then two diagonal lines coming out from it like this. And then a little bump. It almost looks like a letter M if you turn your paper sideways. I like to draw little lines coming out from the knot to make it look like the cloth has been folded there. And then we're going to do that same thing on the other side. Two diagonal lines with that kind of bumpy letter M shape, a couple of folds. And then there's usually another piece kind of hanging down like this. And there's the cat's nice bow tie. And then we're going to draw his hat, the thing he's most famous for. So before I draw his hat, I'm actually going to draw most of an oval coming up here. That's going to be his ear, with a darker shape inside of that, copying kind of the same shape of his ear. I could also draw the cat's whiskers. He has two coming off from each side. And then when I draw his hat shape, I'm going to start with an oval that kind of loops around his head, kind of comes up from his forehead here, and then pokes out behind his ear here. I like to color in the inside of the brim of the hat. You don't have to, but you can. And then I'm going to copy that line to make a nice skinny brim right here. Now, the cat's hat is actually kind of a cylinder shape that's been bent in half. And those of you who have studied 3D shapes know that a cylinder has an oval at the top and an oval at the bottom and two straight sides. So I'm actually going to start kind of a floating oval shape all the way up here. Then I'm going to draw two straight lines coming out from that. But then I'm going to bend that shape around all the way down onto the hat. It looks like a bent piece of macaroni. And then I can add some little folds in there. And then the cat's hat is usually striped. So I'm going to draw those stripes, curved lines that kind of get skinnier in the corner here, and they get wider again as they come down to the bottom. And if you'd like to lightly color those in with your pencil, every other section of that hat would typically be red. I'm not going to color mine with crayons or markers or anything today, so I'm just going to lightly block that in with my crayons. Now, this looks pretty much like the Cat in the Hat now, but there's definitely something missing. There's something that makes him look not quite right. And what that is the texture Dr. Seuss would add to make the cat look kind of hairy. And I'm going to do that really quickly with my pencil, just by, on one side of all of these shapes, just kind of scribbling in some hair. I'm going to start right up here under his hat, and I'm going to scribble along just this side of his body, the left side of his body, all the way down under that bow, and all the way down the left side of his body. I'm going to continue that scribbling all the way down his leg, even onto his foot. I'm going to do the same on the left side of this leg, just those little scribbly lines. It kind of looks like hair. My third graders know about hatching and cross-hatching. If that language makes more sense to you, you could say you're hatching and cross-hatching all of that hairy texture on this side. Now, since this arm is on the left, I'm going to go ahead and make that whole arm look pretty hairy. This is one of those times when it's okay to scribble, because that's really what Dr. Seuss was doing. He kind of scrabbled those hatching and cross hatching lines to make the cat look hairy. I'm going to do it for his entire tail. I'm just going to color in that whole thing using those scribbly lines. That'll help make it look kind of hairy, like the original Cat in the Hat illustrations, all the way to the end of his tail. And then I'm going to do a little bit more under the bow here, and then I'll do the bottom part, the bottom half of this arm coming all the way up under the glove. Then I can darken this line a little bit. Now I have a really excellent Cat in the Hat illustration. Now, you could stop here, or you could add a setting. If you know how to draw some other Dr. Seuss characters, you could add the Lorax, or maybe Horton, or Yertle the Turtle, maybe Thing 1 and 2. Or you could draw some of those really wacky Dr. Seuss style landscapes that would have hills and valleys, but then very strange shaped buildings going in all sorts of different directions with interesting window and door shapes. This one looks kind of like a watering pot. So feel free to add any kind of setting you'd like, any kind of background, different characters. You could color it with crayons, markers, colored pencils, whatever you end up doing with your picture. If you're a Henry Johnson scholar, snap a picture of that, send it to me on Class Dojo. If you're just following along from home and you'd like to see something different, comment below and I'll try to add your suggestion to my list of videos next week. As always, everyone stay safe out there, have fun, wash your hands, and I'll see you next time.